Hello and welcome back to Shout About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to subscribe. Around 95% of you are returning viewers, but you're not yet subscribed. So what are you doing? Hit that sub and switch on the notification bells. Thank you to everyone who has joined me already. I really couldn't do this without you. If you're wondering where I am, I've moved to a different area. This is going to be for the next few videos, and the reason why is because my lighting, my professional lighting, has broken and I need to replace the light bulbs, and I thought I had some, but I didn't. It's Doctor Who Sunday today. That means we sit back, we relax, and we talk about one thing and one thing only, and that's Doctor Who. Tomorrow at 4 p.m, we will return to the craziness of the world, so make sure that you actually tune in for that, because tomorrow's video is an interesting one. This week you have voted for Ghostlight, a Sylvester McCoy story. To make sure that you actually get your say in the poll, head on over to the community page to vote, but only after this video. Doctor number 7. Ghostlight is a Sylvester McCoy story. It was written by Mark Platt, directed by Alan Waring, and it aired to 4.1 million people overnight. Ghostlight is a paranormal story that looks into unearthly realms, with sci-fi being at the heart of it all. The Doctor and Ace, played by Sophie Aldred, land in an old house in Victorian times. It's creepy and dark, but not derelict. They encounter some very strange people whilst there, and it's during the encounter that Ace realises that the Doctor has manipulated the situation and got her to face her fear of haunted houses. In particular, the one that she broke into and set fire to when she was 13 because she was terrified. A rare character development storyline that hadn't been seen much in Doctor Who at that point, but became a staple for New Who companions. They later discovered that the mysterious hauntings are caused by people who have been captured, hypnotized and manipulated, and there is more than one plot going on here. Josiah plots to assassinate Queen Victoria, and Light, who had been on a survey expedition, decides that evolution is too much for planet Earth, and he decides to put a stop to it, only for the Doctor to intervene and for Ace to come to conquer her demons. If I were to cast a modern New Who Doctor to this story, it would be that of Peter Capaldi. I think this would suit him to a T. I'm going to say I love this story. I'm down for paranormal horror. This is irksome, it's eerie. The opening shot of the house gave me Frankenstein B-horror movie style vibes. I don't know if that's actually a vibe that they were going with, but it's a vibe that I can definitely get behind. I've mentioned Frankenstein already, but it's kind of crossed with Clue, or as Cluedo we would say here in the UK. And there's also a slight Rocky Horror-esque to it within the house setting itself, I think, but not the actual story of Rocky Horror, because that's completely different. The opening tone is also something else. Whilst I feel that the actors are actually quiet, and this is something that the BBC need to fix because I think it's a sound issue, the organ booming through this and its dark haunting undertones set up for the horror we are about to encounter. Now, of course, it's not really B-horror movie, and nor is it Frankenstein. It's more of a there's a scientific explanation for everything type of story, and there has to be rationale with it. Now, I sit on the fence when it comes to ghosts. I believe that you need to put rationale first for sure before saying it's a ghost. And I feel like that's what the Doctor is actually trying to teach Ace here. Put rationale first before saying it's a ghost, and trying to get her to understand it. And I think she does in the end. She discovers in this story that she was in the house that she enters 100 years later in the future. He wanted to get her to figure out why she had felt the way she had felt when she entered and fled, and when she discovered that it was terrifying for her. This version of the Doctor, the teacher, the manipulator, you can really get the sense of Ace's feel of betrayal when she finds out what the Doctor has done. So if he plays it really well, she gives a lot of anger. I will say that this is the start of Ace's character development. The next one being The Curse of Fenric, of course. And The Curse of Fenric is the next story in this series of Doctor Who. The only real issue that I have with Ace's character development was that they didn't age the character as Sophie got older. And that was actually something that was later fixed within the writing of Big Finish. And surprisingly, Chris Chibnall also carried it on which is really surprising, so props to Chibnall for that. The character development storyline for Ace was obviously a sign of things to come. I've said before in the Sense Sphere that Jonathan Nathan Turner was a good custodian of Doctor Who. A lot of what he did with the show back then is within the current show format that we have now. That's character development and seeing family and friends of the companions. The only members that we had met prior to this off the top of my head were Tegan's auntie, Adric's brother, and Nissa's father, and they all died. He was clearly testing the waters with Ace and probably fully intended to continue with it had the series actually continued. And then, of course, she would have gone off with the Time Lords as planned. He should have pushed for the aging of the character a bit though. The only other character that got what I would call a really big push and a really interesting storyline was Turlough, but that is a whole different episode because it adds a different light to within the TARDIS itself. I've never truly known how I felt about the Seventh Doctor being this way with Ace. It's almost a disregard to how she feels about this and more about what he can teach her. Then again, we hadn't really had the development we had had with a companion before, so it does add something else to it. We get to see the Doctor's interaction with this new angle, especially when she reveals at the end it was her who had set fire to the place in the future. And his reaction is, "You didn't tell me that." It's why I wonder if that's him actually potentially realising that he has done something really stupid and reckless. Weirdly though, you could actually argue that he was doing this for her to begin with. However, I call the Shooty Doctor out all the time, so I'm doing it here. The Seventh Doctor was reckless. It's also a bit of a shock to hear that a companion has actually committed a crime prior to entering the TARDIS. But Ace likes explosions, so it's hardly surprising that she would have played with fire at some point. Not that you should play with fire. The Doctor being reckless is definitely a point of Shooty's Doctor. Protecting the companions is not. Even though I said the McCoy Doctor was reckless in bringing Ace here, I do think that his priority is her. He knows when she's in danger. He demands to know her whereabouts. He covers her eyes instead of his own when light bursts through the lift doors. She is still his priority. By the way, who thought we were getting a master story when we saw the clock? This could have been a master story for sure. I'm glad they didn't go that far, but they could have actually got away with it. There is something very fitting about the idea of the Master playing with the Darwin theory of evolution and manipulating and drawing the strings, wouldn't it? It would be fitting for him to collect a Neanderthal and other bodies for his plan. The body of the policeman in the drawer being a prized collection is brilliant, and the fact that he later wakes up on the command of the Doctor must have been a shock to people. This is the type of the thing that Doctor Who does really well. Play into the science to put a creepy ghost and Frankenstein-esque story together. It's not, look at me, I'm the Doctor. It's the Doctor who comes in to solve the problem, and this is the one that he really does have to solve, and a story that keeps the audience guessing until it wraps up. The pace of the story is amazing. Nothing too quick. The reveal happens slowly, and the resolution, whilst it suddenly happens, isn't in the style of the resolutions that happen today. You get the impression, like normal with the McCoy Doctor, he knows what he is going to do to fix the problem and sets the course on path so that Ace can set fire to it 100 years later. I do wish that the Inspector had been utilised a lot more within this story, but I do actually find it very funny that he had to eat constantly because he had been asleep for 2 years. We eventually learn in episode 2 that they are being sent to Java. Homo Victorianus Impetus, and that shot of Reverend Matthews as a monkey eating that banana shows Ace that the stuffed animals were actually people who were alive, which is one of the reasons why she felt so bad. When the husks grabbed her and the Inspector, I remember feeling, when I first watched it, shocked. I thought they were mannequins, although it was unlikely that that type of mannequin would have actually existed back then. There's one thing I wish the episode did play off actually. That was the fact that Josiah was planning to assassinate Queen Victoria. This would have been a history lesson to serve as well, because there were 7 assassination attempts on her life alone in her reign. This darker style of Doctor much suits Sylvester McCoy. I know why they didn't do it this way for when he first took over as the Doctor. They went with a more jovial one when he first started, and then very quickly realised it wasn't working for him. Sylvester suits these types of weird, dark quirky roles anyway, so it makes much more sense for his Doctor to be presented as such. You can see that they have all come together and talked about the Doctor and the direction that he should be truly going in, which is something that they should be doing today. They should be doing it for every single Doctor. McCoy is mysterious, dark, a manipulator and educator with this role. Yes, whilst it seems a far cry from the Hartnell Doctor, the writing is still fundamentally that of the Doctor, and this is the facet that he went with for his, and it works, especially in something as eerie as Ghostlight. Let me know what you think about Ghostlight. Naturally, I have, in this case, for sure, left a lot out, so please do get into the comments below and respectfully have your say with each other. Chat about it, don't chat about it, head on over to the community page so that you can vote on the current poll. I will be back tomorrow at 4 PM with some crazy news, and until then, thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye bye.